Hello, and welcome to that 90s Spider-Man that 90s Spider-Man show. I think is the name of our podcast that we will be...
This is good. This is
great. Fantastic. So, my name is Henry, and I'm your host, and here is your co-host, Jack Hogan.
Yeah, he's gesturing to me with his hands. You can't see that, though.
But we'll edit that in. Like, I could kind of like a wind like noise for when I gesture. But yeah, this is our...
Very gusty hands.
Yeah, like that's one thing they say about me, is Henry Smith with the gusty hands. But yeah, this is our podcast on Spider-Man the Animated Series, if you couldn't tell from the 90s. And this is pretty much just a way of like starting things off. This is episode 0, not 1, so this is the first episode. This is the 0 episode. I don't know what you call that, episode 0, I guess. But this is just an introduction to how we'll kind of take the show all the way through from episode 1 all the way through to episode, I think, 65?
Yeah,
65.
I think the same amount of episodes as Breaking Bad.
That is quite the statistic.
And that's where the similarities end.
Pretty much. There's no cancer in this, isn't there? No. Well, we'll edit that out. But, so you're probably wondering, like, why am I listening to this? Why am I listening to about these guys talking about the animated Spider-Man series? Well, I don't know about Jack, but I'm personally a huge fan of Spider-Man. I've seen all the films, liked like half of them, and yeah, like I think for a lot of people our age, the first like experience of Spider-Man was this series. I don't know about you, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for millennials, because what is it? It starts in '94, and there was a load of reruns after that, and it's just, I feel like even as the people who didn't even read any comics or watch any of these movies or have any interest in it, they still watch that show the same way they watched like the X-Men 90s show. It's just a way to get into it. And also you just like, by the 90s, those comics had gotten so convoluted and crazy that having it in where you're like, okay, let's do the origin of the lizard or whatever. That's simple. Go with it. You know, you don't have to mess around with like clones or, people coming back to life and all this nonsense.
Just you wait, Jack.
Yeah. We've still got some clones and fake deaths ahead.
Some water people.
Yeah.
Got all kinds of things.
Oh,
really.
Yeah, just you wait.
Absolutely. So, I thought a good thing to kind of explore would kind of be, like our first impressions, like what we kind of remember from like the 90s show. So, like, for me, one thing that really like sticks in my craw all the way through from like childhood to like this adult version you have of me now is the theme song. Yeah. That theme song, it's quite the theme song. It's the most 90s thing I've ever heard.
It's also the reason that most people think of this show as the radioactive Spider-Man, because that's what sticks out in your head.
It's the only lyric in the fucking song.
Yeah.
It's just radioactive Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man, he's radioactive. Yeah. Guitar solo. But like, looking at it, there's so many like explosions. You know how many, like, you ever realise how many explosions are actually in this theme song? There's an explosion like every 3.5 seconds.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think like, but it also like it's building. It's building to that moment.
Yeah.
But it gets there like 15 times.
Yeah.
You know, it builds and it builds and it builds and it keeps you waiting. And all the while, like the actual the images that go with it are kind of all crazy. It's not like a slow build up of him slowly getting bitten by a spider.
No.
He's bitten by the spider and he's having goblin pumpkin bombs thrown at him within like, like 20 seconds.
The first thing he does is jump on the fucking ceiling. It's insane. Like,
but it is just, I mean, it's got to be like the best Marvel animated theme tune, right?
The one I'm thinking of are like the X-Men one, which is pretty wild.
The X-Men one's great.
And the Iron Man one, which is really weird.
There's 2 Iron Man ones. I can't really remember either of them though.
So the one I'm thinking of is the one where like he's like shirtless in like a dungeon somewhere, just like pounding metal with like a mullet.
Does he have like a mullet?
Yeah, it's a mullet.
Oh man!
And it's just going like, I am Iron Man.
That is pretty good, yeah.
And it's like a guitar solo going in the background. I'm like, that's fucking metal, and I'm here for it. But like, nothing happens. It's just him doing that for like a minute.
That makes more sense though than this is kind of
it's lots of like clips of the show, which I
Yeah.
appreciate for this theme song, and yeah,
I mean, it is just. I think we've all gotten used to how we all love the theme. You love the theme tune, right? The Spider-Man one.
yeah, I love the theme tune.
It's amazing and it's crazy and it's good, but I think it is very weird and people don't really realize how weird it is.
No one really thinks like this is actually quite insane. This is a lot for a theme song.
Yeah.
But like I think it was just a 90s trend. Like I don't know if you watched like Dragon Ball Z back in the day, but it had a similarly like insane theme tune.
I'm still like I'm actually watching Dragon Ball at the moment, and I've never seen Dragon Ball Z. I don't know anything apart from the Dragon Ball theme tune right now.
I've got to play with you on the Dragon Ball Z theme tune because it's just as 90s. Because yeah, like there's like a Japanese version which is fine, but I need like the.
Do they get different theme tunes for the Americanized or the Westernized?
Well, I think definitely for the British one, there was definitely one theme tune, and it is
There's a
fucking
different one for
metal.
every country.
Yeah, I think so. But here's the one I think of.
Dragon Ball Z. Dragon, come.
You know, on first listen, that's amazing, but it also sounds like there's a pretty competent metal band,
Yeah.
and someone said, make a theme tune for Dragon Ball Z, and they're like, what's Dragon Ball Z? And he said, it doesn't matter, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And they're like, tell me something, and they're like, guy is really angry, he's got bulging muscles, he's gonna fight, and then they go, okay, and that's what they're going on.
Did like a long line of cocaine and then
Yeah.
just went for it.
And it goes on for a long time as well.
Yeah. Like as long as the Spider-Man one, I think. And
It felt longer because the Spider-Man one is just joy.
yeah. This is like the guitar solos here are like more. There's more about them, but like I feel like every '90s TV show of that kind had a very similar like yell out the show's name and just have a guitar solo, and that's all it took.
Yeah,
And that's like my pervading image of the show.
like Extreme Dinosaurs, which I hope if you're listening right now and you don't know what Extreme Dinosaurs is, you know there's stuff on YouTube.
Reckless raptors and the extreme dinosaurs. Extreme dinosaurs. Tails that snap like thunderclaps. Talking, stalking, raptor trap. Extreme dinosaurs.
It's crazy, but let's not get derailed by that.
No.
But that's
If we saw Extreme Dinosaurs, will be here until like next week. Like I could talk about it for ages.
that's on
It's-
the Extreme Dinosaurs podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's
Yeah.
something to like keep in mind for much down the years. Much like the Marvel Universe, like we have like the like post-credit scenes with like Extreme Dinosaurs and Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Put it together.
But normally they don't like halfway through the movie tell you what the post-credit scene's
No.
gonna be.
Probably like for the next movie has to fix it. And like imagine if Marvel did that. Like you have an Iron Man and Thor shows up and he's like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah.
And he just leaves again. And you're
Well,
like,
that's what happens in the comics.
Yeah.
That you just get like, and then you get that little editor's note, which will be like, which was just selling another comic right at the start when they started doing the universe, but it works pretty well. Like Daredevil shows up and he goes, "Oh God, I'm fighting, Stiltman again. This guy sucks." And then it'll, little balloon will say, they first met in Daredevil 11. You should go back and read that. It's still on shelves. Go out and ask your mom to buy it for you. And they kind of do that in this show as well because they had these. It is actually a cinematic universe because it is connected to the X-Men show and where was it?
I'm pretty sure Blade shows up in one episode.
Did Blade have a?
Blade shows up in the episode, one of the episodes.
Oh no, I know he shows up, but like, did he have his own like show?
No, he just shows up.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, yeah, there's all this. Like, Daredevil shows up.
Captain America shows up.
Captain America shows up. Yeah.
Obviously.
X-Men show up as well.
At least Wolverine has shown up. I'm sure. The Punisher.
I think Punisher showed up. There's like a lot of cameos and also cameos to other shows. I think this is connected to the Iron Man one as well. Like the Iron Man who shows up in this, I think is the same.
He does have the mullet, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and the weird like pedo mustache.
Yeah, I mean they definitely cross over a lot with this stuff, which is, I mean, kind of ambitious back then, I guess, but also just like a really obvious way to make money. It's kind of weird that it took them so long to
crack it.
Think, yeah, let's do this in the movies,
Yeah, and like to be fair, like it shouldn't have worked, and we've seen like countless times that it doesn't work. apart from this very, very specific example. The question I'm going to ask, though, is, do you think it's the best Spider-Man cartoon of what you've seen?
No. I mean, it's one that's like close to my heart, and I think it's been a while since I revisited this. I watched it when I was a kid, and then I think when I was 16, I went back and watched some of the episodes I missed. But I think even if we rewatching it now, I realize, oh god, this is terrible.
Yeah,
I'd still kind of love it because it's the nostalgia filter. It's how I, maybe not the way I first got into Spider-Man, because I think I might have read some comics or something before then, or at the same time, I'm not sure, but it was definitely like a big part of that, and which I'm grateful for. So I don't think I could hate it. But I mean, saying that, there are other Spider-Man cartoons out there, and the Spectacular Spider-Man.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, and I mean, unfortunately, like this got like, there's like 5 seasons of this. Yeah. But the Spectacular Spider-Man only got like 2 seasons, and it nailed it, and it did the long form storytelling, and it was so good. But then it got cancelled, and then they rebooted it, and they did. I think straight after that was the Ultimate Spider-Man show,
and that sucked ass. Yeah,
I mean, I didn't watch it. I think maybe I watched a clip or something, and I thought, this is fine, but like it's not for me. Like, it was the team up Spider-Man, and it's for a very specific like age group, I think, which is all good. I mean, again, I'm not going to be one of those guys who's complaining that I didn't get 3 great Spider-Man cartoons. Not even 3 great Spider-Man cartoons, but 3 great Spider-Man cartoon TV series, because now we have Spider-Verse. Yeah. So I think I can relax a bit on that.
I think you've had quite enough.
Yeah, but I still would have liked to have seen where Spectacular Spider-Man went.
I kind of like the art design better on Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, for example, like, look at Peter Parker in that show. He actually looks like a teenager. Compared to this, where he's like 6'2", like this bodybuilder. Yeah,
I think, Spectacular Spider-Man's art was something I had to get used to. I wasn't that into it. And I do really like the art in this show, but it's also much more, it's not very stylized. It's just kind of like,
it's very generic.
Yeah, and it's very much like, here's this character, he looks pretty much like he does in the comics, but probably like a simpler version of like a costume or whatever. Except for the fact that like Peter Parker, like you said, it's a problem that they have even with the new movies. I think like Tom Holland, sometimes the way he dresses in that, he kind of looks like a really, a guy who's in shape. Yeah. And like maybe if he was trying to keep on down a little bit, he'd wear like, a bunch of like shirts and
like baggy jumpers and
everything. Yeah, exactly. And he'd look a bit skinnier, but then it's like, oh wow, actually Peter Parker's completely ripped when you like properly see him take his shirt off or whatever.
But I didn't have enough shirtless scenes in the Spider-Man cartoons. Yeah. He's playing like volleyball.
I'm not complaining about about that, but like this version of him, he's wearing extremely tight sweaters.
He's bursting out of his clothing all the time.
He's so like just broad and muscular. He looks like he hits the gym every day, and there's not really much about him that looks nerdy. He just kind of looks like he might be like in the 80s frat college comedy. He would be the bad guy who has the rich dad. Yeah. Who the dean is on his side, and he's just like from the jerk house, and he's just like, he's the one that, will get like a pipe thrown in his face at the end. But he's the hero here.
Yeah. It's really weird. Like, you look at like Flash Thompson, like try and like bully this scrawny kid, and he's like looking up at this guy. He's like, "I'll take you, bitch." And like Peter Parker's like just like looking down at him, like, "Please don't stuff me in the locker." And he's not big. He's not too big to fit in the fucking locker. He can't go in a locker. It doesn't make any sense.
The other thing with this is that, I mean, I'm going by my memory of this, but he's in college in this. This is post high school.
Is it post high school?
Yeah. So they've already like done away. It's almost like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, where they did the high school bit and then they went, let's go to college, because Tobey Maguire's like 30 years old.
He's widening. Yeah, every passing day.
Just keep going before people realise that he has a couple of young kids. In real life
before his beer belly sets in.
So they skipped to college, and I think they did that here, which is an odd choice because you think you're younger viewers, they're gonna like relate more to a teenage superhero, but it also, I guess, it makes it a bit easier if you're writing it because it means he doesn't have to sneak back into Aunt May's, you know.
But he does that anyway.
Every day. Does he do that in the show?
Yeah, like, Aunt May has no clue. She's oblivious the whole way through.
But does he live with her?
Yeah, he lives with her for at least like the first bit, and I'm sure like he goes like between. I think.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Because I know there's a bit. I remember him like living with Harry Osborn for a bit, and that obviously goes to hell.
Right. Well,
but I think
to be honest, there's so many Spider-Man continuities. It's been enough years. I can't remember this specific one, but I'm looking forward to like finding that kind of weird stuff out. To be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are your like hopes for this? Because we're going back rewatching this. Like, when was the last time you watched this? Is the thing.
Probably when I was about 10.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know about you, but I barely remember stuff from that age.
No.
So, like, what do you hope you get from this? And what do you think you're going to get from watching these episodes again?
What I hope to get is, like, a kind of, like, a comprehensive view of this amazing part of my childhood and hopefully, like, appreciate it a bit more. But what I'm expecting is kind of what I got with Space Jam. Where you kind of, like, go through it and you're like, holy shit, like, Michael Jordan's being out-acted by a cartoon bunny.
So you rewatched Space Jam recently.
And it was incredible, like, how soulless and cynical the entire, project is. I'm not saying this is soulless and cynical, but I feel like the animation is going to really, fuck with me.
Our subscriber count is going down.
Oh, no.
They like Space Jam too much.
Fuck them.
I've got a live read here.
No, come back. I'll change.
So when you watched it originally, did you watch all the episodes? Is the thing as well? Because back then as well, it wasn't like you couldn't like record stuff. It wasn't like DVR. Well, you could, but it was like on VHS, and it was like a pain in the ass. So I remember getting up like 7 a.m. on a Saturday to like catch it. Some days I wouldn't be able to because I had like football practice or like, you know, we were away, and it's just you missed that episode.
Yeah, and that's it. It's gone.
And I remember they must have, wherever I watched it, they must have lost the license to it, and they left you on a cliffhanger, like maybe at the end of the 4th season or something. They left you on a cliffhanger, and they just never came back. And I didn't have Sky TV or anything where it was playing more regularly, so I just never got to finish it, and I was really bummed out. And it was only when I was a bit older that I found it again and got to like actually find out what happened.
But don't spoil that because that's what we're getting to.
Oh, but so did you get to see the whole thing?
I don't know. There's a lot of like, there's a couple of episodes that I kind of recall with like, I would say shadows of Into the Spider-Verse, for example.
Right.
And I feel like that's the furthest I went.
Yeah,
but
I think that's pretty far.
Yeah. But I didn't watch it the whole way through. I was kind of like, when it was on TV, I was really bad with like sitting down and watching something. Surprise. And yeah, I would kind of like come in and like, oh, that's great. I like this. And if I wasn't doing homework, if I wasn't at a friend's house, I'd watch it. But it wasn't like, I had any idea what was going on. And it was fairly chaotic, as it were, to kind of keep up with it. But no, like, I'm really looking forward to actually probably just seeing the whole thing through and just seeing how, like, the storytelling works. Because I don't think I got a good feel of that before. But I feel like now I can actually walk through it like something I've known. Like, the Breaking Bad or The Sopranos, and see the whole thing kind of come together. Not as, like, cleanly or as coherently, but...
I appreciate how often we're making connections between this show and Prestige.
Yeah.
21st century television.
That's intended because we want to kind of like subliminally incept that.
I mean, I guess that would be my hope, is that we go through all this and get to that final episode, and I think this was a journey that rivals or maybe surpasses that of Breaking Bad, and I somehow think that's not going to happen.
I think it's a tad unrealistic.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be fun because I know that the small snippets I can remember. This show does some wild shit, and it does some weird stuff with the continuity where they try and like simplify things by connecting certain characters, and they've got their crossovers with X-Men and stuff. But some of the heroes and stuff in it didn't have their own shows, so they kind of get brought in and get their origins in it, and it's there's a lot of weird stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I think as a kid would go over your head, but
Yeah.
as an adult, you're going to overthink it, which is the best thing to do. It's so fun to like overthink these things which are meant for kids when we're much older than the target audience.
Yeah.
But just like little things, like one thing I remember only sort of taking into account when I was a bit older, I'm pretty sure in this universe, everyone has laser guns.
Yeah, like
There's
I read that they
There's
don't have to like
there's no
shoot bullets.
No, there's no bullets. I'm not even sure. Like, I mean, maybe the Punisher has like grenade launchers or something, but
There's also bombs.
yeah, I
Lots
mean,
of explosions.
yeah, there's explosions and there's lasers because
Kids.
you know, yeah, because you don't. 'Cause I don't know why. Like, I guess someone can hit by a laser and you don't know whether they died or they're just hurt or stunned or whatever. Whereas if someone gets shot in the head with a bullet, they're probably dead.
Their head's gonna explode and there's gonna be like bits of brain everywhere and like kids will be upset.
Yeah, and also I feel like I did remember there being thing. Everyone in this, they always refer to being destroyed or annihilated. They weren't allowed to say kill, because that was a big
I
thing.
think I read that somewhere. So I think we probably should just pretty quickly just go over like the way the formatting is going to work going forward in the show.
Yeah.
So pretty much we'll just be going like scene by scene, what's happening, what we kind of remember.
We're gonna like we'll do some fresh takes on this. We'll like see
Very
like,
fresh.
Yeah, not hot, just fresh.
Just fresh.
But we'll just
fresh and
we'll
cold.
go through and we'll talk about the episode itself, and then probably like there's probably going to be some sort of talk about with the comics as well.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be some big differences.
Yeah. Like, I've not really read the comics, but Jack over here is probably, like, much more of an authority. And I'm kind of looking forward to the wild shit that will come up from the comics.
Yeah. I read a lot when I was a kid. I had a big gap where I wasn't reading anymore.
Yeah.
Now getting into reading some stuff again. And, there's a lot of stuff out there. I don't even know if I can catch up and read it all at this point in the rest of my life, because there's been so many different comic series, different continuities, so many issues to catch up on. I don't know, maybe I should just quit my job and just sit at home and read all day for a while.
Dedicate your life to it, really. Commit, Jack.
Yeah.
Commit to it.
Yeah, I mean, if only... Maybe there would be a lot of money if we were the only people making a podcast about Spider-Man, but somehow I think there might be some other people out there doing that.
I don't know, maybe.
It's pretty niche.
It's fairly niche. He's like a character no one's really heard of. Like, he's only had like 6 films.
Yeah,
So,
when we first said maybe we should do a podcast together, I just heard an echo of 20 different men in the same cafe echo the exact same phrase.
20 like failing writers just trying to
Yeah.
we should do something new and something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
We're so smart, and you just hear an echo across this bar. But no, that's that's what we plan to do over the next couple of 65 episodes. 65.
It's not dedicated to a couple of hundred yet. But
Well, like, I don't know, like, I'm ambitious, what can I say?
I promise to whoever's listening to this right now, it gets really good in episode 100.
Yeah.
That's when it gets good. You gotta stick it out until then.
Just watch 99 episodes, and then by the 100th one, it'll be best. It'll be like better than sex.
Yeah, and you could wait until the episode comes out and then play it, but, you wouldn't have the journey, so you gotta start with this one.
It'd feel a lot better. It's like the slow rise to the climax.
On that note, should we end this episode 0?
Let's end episode 0. Thank you for paying attention the whole way through this. I'm Henry Smith.
And I'm Jack.
And this is the end of episode 0. Go about your lives.